Hey, 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 welcome to Angel Messages Sunday. Today's message includes themes around connecting beyond the veil, the purpose of our physical existence, and strengthening your relationship with your spirit guidance. Thank you for being here. Last week I shared about doing the interview with Alex Ferrari for Next Level Soul, which I did in between these recordings. That's one of the reasons this is getting out a little late this week, is because I was traveling. Um, but yeah, I just thank you so much. So many of you reached out with messages of love and encouragement, and I really, really appreciate it. So thank you for being here. Thank you for, sharing the videos. Thank you for making your comments. I really, really appreciate you. I really appreciate you being here. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Well, and like I said, one of the reasons I'm getting this message out late this week is because I was traveling. We were in Austin. I did the interview. We saw friends and family. It was a lot of fun. And in addition to that, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, we kind of made a last minute decision to put our house on the market. So we posted our house for sale the same day that we left for Austin. And so yeah, that's been a fun little journey too. It's been good. I really have enjoyed, there's something about like getting your house ready to sell and you're like putting things away and getting rid of things. And like my desk is so clean. You would not believe how clean my desk is. So that's been a lot of fun to enjoy the house with it clean. It's not always fun when somebody's coming over and you're like last second trying to put things together, but yeah, so a lot going on. I'm kind of behind on some areas of my life, but I do try really hard to show up every Sunday with these angel messages, every Wednesdays with the podcast interviews that I do for Light the Day. So there'll be another one of those coming out this Wednesday. And if we haven't met before, I'm Julie Clough. I'm a spiritual medium, which means I communicate with the other side through mediumship, through connecting with people's loved ones, their spirit guides, and bringing them messages, as well as doing these channeled messages. And I had a spiritually transformative experience and a miraculous healing after the passing of my two youngest children in a rollover car accident, which happened on Mother's Day of 2007. And like I said, today is Angel Messages Sunday. Wednesday, we'll have the podcast interview out. So that's just a little bit about what's going on. But what I like to do is first play this week's channeled message, and then afterwards, I will come back and we'll go through the message paragraph by paragraph. I do have some insights to share with you that came through as I was channeling this message, so I'm looking forward to going through it with you paragraph by paragraph. I never know. You may think that I go into these angel messages with an intention, but I don't. I don't know exactly what they're going to share. That being said, if you have questions that you feel like would be pertinent to the collective, like to, everybody that you would like for me to ask, and in these channeled messages, I'm happy to do that. So put your questions down below. And if I receive questions that I think would be helpful and interesting to everyone, I will, you know, set that intention to channel on that message. Actually, one thing I was going to share with you is when I did the interview with Alex, he didn't realize it was a channel before I got to the studio, and I was sharing we were talking beforehand, and I mentioned that I was, and so in the interview, he did ask me to channel live for the interview, and he asked me some really, really good questions that I answered and channeled answers to. I shouldn't say I answered. The Angel Collective answered. The Angel Collective that I channel, I don't think I mentioned this already in this video, but they gave me the name of the Council of Wisdom, and so that's how I refer to them. It's an angel collective. Interestingly, in the interview, after I channeled, we continued to talk, and then a few minutes later, he said, "Actually, do you mind? Do you mind going back into channel? And because I have a couple more questions." Um, Another behind the scenes that I'll share with you, and this interview will probably come out in about maybe 3 weeks from now. The other thing that was interesting that I'll share with you about that interview was afterwards, he was, because he has so many guests come on and he's talked to and asked questions of a lot of channels. And he talked to me about like how like the angel energy is different than other type of energy and how direct they are. And he's like, and he noticed that in my channeling as well, because I channel an angel collective, that angelic energy was coming through in the channeling, which anyway, just a little side note, but I thought that was really fascinating. I thought you would be interested too if you're listening to this. So I'll share the channeled message this week and then I'll come back. We are here. We are grateful for this opportunity to speak with you this day, to thank you for your attention and your intention to connect through the angelic realm, for we are a part of your existence here, although a part that is unseen from the naked eye. While there are some who do see us with the naked eye, there are many, many, many who do not, who can still connect with us, just as this channel connects with us beyond the naked eye through her mind's eye, through her speaking our words of wisdom, our words of experience of energy, which we project onto your plane through mediums such as the channel here. We are grateful for these connections. We are grateful for these opportunities to share beyond the earth realm, beyond the dimension in which you exist in the physical, for the physical is a veil between the spirit realms. It is a veil between the dimensions. You have chosen to be here at this time, to live in this dimension, in this space, in this time, in this way, to experience things at a different level, at a different experience, at a different dimension of reality, for all is reality, although it is difference is in reality. You have thought of the earth as a outside of reality, and yet we would say that it is the reality of your experience at this time, for this is the experience at this time. And we would share with you that you are here to have the experience of the physical. And while we would encourage you to be aware of this spiritual within the physical, this is our message. This is our communication. This is our purpose in being here, is to communicate with you, to connect you beyond the veil. For we would want you to have this connection beyond the veil as you journey in the physical, much like a pilot has the connection with the ground crew while they are flying. It is an important connection for the pilot to have a radio signal between them and the tower, between them and the ground crew. This is an important connection for you to have on this earth plane with your spirit crew, with your guidance system that has been put in place, that you were aware of, before you came, that you were aware that we were going to be here of assistance to you. And yet so many have connected, or we would say disconnected shifted from the spirit realm. They have put a heavy, heavy veil between themselves and the spirit realm. If you are listening to this, you are thinning the veil. You are choosing to thin the veil to make the connection between here and the other side. And we ask you that you continue to thin the veil, to continue to make the connection, that you listen to this and you also do the work of making the personal connection with your spirit team. Your spirit team is here to direct you. We are here to direct the collective that choose to listen to our words as the counsel of wisdom, as this medium, as this channel has suggested. We are here to assist and to bring comfort and guidance and direction to you in this earthly form. For we understand at some level the challenges in which you face, and we wish to remind you of your higher power, of your higher experience, of your higher energies that are available to you at this time. And we thank you again for listening this day. We thank you. We send our love and appreciation to you this day. Goodbye. All right. What did you think? What did you think of the channeled message? Is it easy for you to or I'm just curious what your experience is as you're listening to the channeled message. So many of you have shared, and so I really appreciate that. But are you like tuning into the messages, or does it feel like you're more tuning into the frequency of it? I'm just curious. So let's go through the message. They start with, "We are here. We are grateful for this opportunity to speak with you this day, to thank you for your attention and your intention to connect through the angelic realm. For we are a part of your existence here, although a part that is unseen from the naked eye." Again, like, I don't know if you have noticed this, but I've noticed that when they come through, so often they're sharing their gratitude for the opportunity to speak with us. And, and I think I'm so grateful for them and their willingness to speak to us. And I thought it was also interesting, and they're going to talk a little more about this, but I also thought it was interesting that the way they said that they're part of our existence, although unseen from the naked eye. And so I thought that was really interesting that they pointed that out. And again, they're going to go on to say a little more about that. So let me just share the next paragraph. While there are some who do see us with the naked eye, there are many, many, many who do not, who can still connect with us just as this channel connects with us beyond the naked eye through her mind's eye, through her speaking our words of wisdom, our words of experience of energy, which we project onto your plane through mediums such as the channel here. Okay. They actually referred to me a few times in this message, which is really always interesting to me when they refer to me as I'm speaking. It's always really interesting to me. But I love the way that they talked about this, because I have to say that I didn't realize how much I was communicating with them when I kind of accidentally made the connection of being a vocal channel. This was not something that I purposely intended to become a channel. That was never my intention. When I first started connecting with them many years ago, I was connecting because I wanted spiritual guidance. And it's just really interesting the way it develops. But I love that they brought this out, because when I first became really aware of it's not that I wasn't always aware of angels, but it was kind of like this distant concept. And maybe this is the case for you too, but in my distant context of the angels, I didn't have like a relationship with that. It was just like a concept. Like you would hear about, a country and it's a concept until you go visit and then you have an experience with it. So that was my initial um, relationship, if you will, with that. But then as I became more and more interested, like they were bringing my attention to the angelic realm, the angelic realm. And as I became more and more interested in it, as they were bringing my attention more and more to it, and I laugh because I was already connected with them, but I didn't realize that's who I was connected with. But that's a whole nother story. I'm writing a whole new book about that, which you'll hear about later. But as I learned about other people who were connecting with the angelic realm, my impression is that everybody that connected with the angelic realm was having these subjective, meaning they were seeing spirit in front of their eyes, experiences. And so I thought, okay, well, that's outside of the realm of what I can do, blah, 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 blah. We discount ourselves. I'm just sharing this because maybe you're discounting yourself. I just want to share about how we discount ourselves. So in my mind, I couldn't really have that relationship with them because I couldn't see them with my eyes. So I love that they bring this up, that I connect with them through my mind's eye and through the words that they speak. At any rate, let's move on. All right, next paragraph. We are grateful for these connections. We are grateful for these opportunities to share beyond the earth realm, beyond the dimension in which you exist in the physical. For the physical is a veil between the spirit realms. It is a veil between the dimensions. Again, they're going to talk a little bit more about this veil, but they're talking about how like our physical presence is a, a veil or a disconnection from the spirit realm. When we come into form, we are not this, we change our way that we interact with matter, the way we interact with spirit. And it's as if we have to kind of relearn who we are and how we are connected to the spirit realm. But they, again, are sharing their appreciation to be able to communicate with us in this way. They go on to say, you have chosen to be here at this time to live in this dimension, in this space, in this time, in this way, to experience things at a different level, at a different experience, at a different dimension of reality. For all is reality, although it is differences in reality. Okay. Again, they're bringing our attention to the fact that we chose this. You know, maybe you're aware, and or maybe you have had this um, impression, but many, many, many people live in this space of that this is all there is. That or that if there is a God or if there is spirit, that haven't we weren't involved in choosing, that we were just placed down here and we're just figuring it out. But the more and more I am connected with the spirit realm, with my own experiences, because they keep evolving my understanding of my own experiences. Even as I was talking with Alex, I was saying something about like, we were talking about how we sometimes when something happens, we don't really know why it happened at the time that it happened, but then we become aware. And I suggested in the interview, I said, yeah, we become aware at some level, but I don't know that we ever have a real awareness while we're in physical form of all the reasons that we have the experiences that we have. I think we kind of touch the surface. but that's my impression of it. But I also, and they're going to talk more about this too, that we're having this experience now because we chose it. We chose to be in this space at this time, experiencing what we're experiencing, and that in these, that we're having a different dimension of reality. And then they say it's all reality. It's just differences in reality, which I thought was really fascinating. And they go on to talk about that in this next paragraph. You have thought of the earth as outside of reality, and yet we would say that it is the reality of your experience at this time, for this is the experience at this time, and we would share with you that you are here to have the experience of the physical, and while we would encourage you to be aware of the spiritual within the physical, this is our message. So again, I don't know if you've heard these concepts, but a lot of times people talk about this like we're in the matrix, we're having this like dream state, we're having this like experience. It's not really real, but they're really sharing it is real, but it feels real to us, doesn't it? I- um, for whatever reason, this idea of a fun house, have you ever gone to like a carnival or, you know, something like that? What's the other word for it? I can't think of the other word for it. But if you've ever gone to like a carnival type, where there's rides and things, and you go into a fun house where the floor is doing this or the wall is spinning and it disorients you. We could say that that is outside of real because we're disoriented and we're having these experiences. But those experiences within a fun house or within a haunted house, or when we're even in like a movie where we feel like we're in the movie. Have you ever walked out of a movie and just, like especially if you've been in a movie where someone's being chased and then you walk out of the movie feeling like you're being chased? Those are real experiences. So I look at it like that. I look at it like that. Like if we're going through a fun house, the floor is shaking, our connection with gravity is shifting. We're spinning because there's elements within the mirrors or the spinning of the walls or whatever is disorienting us. That is a real experience of disorientation. We're having a real experience physical existence. So I thought that was really interesting because I don't know that I had thought of it that way. It's just hard for us, I think, within the reality that we're in to really understand fully what we're experiencing here, except to be in the experience. Okay, let's go on. He said, this is our message. This is our communication. This is our purpose in being here is to communicate with you, to connect you beyond the veil, for we would want you to have this connection beyond the veil as you journey in the physical. So they're reconnecting us. It's not that we're not already connected. It's not that we haven't already been connected. We came from that world. We came from that world and we came down here. And when we came down here, we're still connected to the spirit realm. It's just our physical experience can cause us to feel disconnected, just like going into a fun house can make us feel disconnected from who we really are. So they're communicating with us to help us to reconnect and to stay connected. And they go on with a great analogy. I just love this. So they said, much like a pilot has the connection with the ground crew while they are flying, it is an important connection for the pilot to have a radio signal between them and the tower, between them and the ground crew. This is an important connection for you to have on this earth plane with your spirit crew, with your guidance system that has been put in place that you were aware of, that you were aware of before you came, that you were aware that we were going to be here of assistance to you. And yet so many have connected, or we would say disconnected from this spirit realm. They have put a heavy, heavy veil between themselves and the spirit realm. This was fascinating to me. I loved this analogy of, a pilot being connected to the ground crew, being connected to the tower, being connected with a different system of guidance, and having that additional information that they need to have a safe flight. So here we are. And when we left the spirit realm and we were born here, when we left the spirit realm, we knew that we were connected. In fact, there's a really interesting channeled message that came through while I was talking with Alex about our connection. I'm trying to remember exactly. He was asking about soul families, and it kind of came through in that message, as I recall. I'm looking forward to watching it because I'm not always fully connected with the messages when I'm receiving the messages. I am, but I'm not. I don't quite know how to explain that, but I'm there and I'm listening, but I'm also kind of in a meditative state, if you will. At any rate, I love this analogy. What do you think of that analogy? And I also like at the end when they were talking about some have put a heavy, heavy veil. What they caused me to realize in this message was that we go behind a veil when we come into physical form, but also we can choose how thick that veil is. Like we're piercing the veil when we're connecting with the other side. I would say that if you're here listening to this, and they actually mention this, I would say if you're here listening to this, the veil is much thinner for you than maybe someone else you know. And it's not that one is right and the other is wrong. It's just that we have chosen, for whatever reason, in this incarnation, to be aware of our spirit team, to be aware of the angels, to be aware of the spirit realm. So they go on to say, if you're listening to this, you are thinning the veil. You are choosing to thin the veil, to make the connection between here and the other side. And we ask you that you continue to thin the veil, to continue to make the connection, that you listen to this and you also do the work of making the personal connection with your spirit team. Interestingly, what's coming to mind right now is I did a session with somebody just before I recorded, just before I channeled this message. And one of the things that came through in this message, and I will say, like, sometimes, I suffer, like everybody, with imposter syndrome because I have had so many people come to me that I've thought, I need to go to you. I have had so many spiritual experiencers, including people who have had near-death experiences, come to me for guidance. And I'm like, wow, like you're so connected. I should be coming to you for guidance. But also, like, we're all connected in different ways. And so I had just done a session for someone who's had a near-death experience. And he was being challenged by some new information that was coming through and was wanting some guidance. And what I learned, I learned so much in these sessions because I'm just tuning in and communicating with the other side to bring through messages for that person. And I'm connecting, like we all connect at a different space. It's hard to explain. Hopefully some of this is making sense to you, but as we were chatting, like they made me aware of where his connections were strong and where he could strengthen his connections, and how, because of his own personal fears, we all have them, he was keeping his spirit team a little at bay, like kind of beyond his personal bubble. And they were saying, invite us in. So, and that's going to make things easier. And I feel like this message is kind of sharing that with all of us. Bring us closer. Bring us closer. Like I used to have, within my religious belief system, and maybe one day, and if you're interested, let me know, but maybe one day I'll do a video more about my religious experiences and how that um, helped me and how that also disconnected me, and, what that was like. Because I did grow up in a very high demand, high control religion. And so we have these different fears, but you know, back a few years ago, I had fears about connecting with the other side. I had fears about what that would look like and what that would mean to my life. And I can tell you, the closer I become to my spirit team, the easier life gets. The more beautiful it is, the more um, the more supported I feel, the calmer I feel, the more peaceful I feel. There's only good that comes from that, in my experience. That's been my experience. Um, okay, so they're encouraging us to continue that connection. Okay, next paragraph. Your spirit team is here to direct you. Let me say that again because I kind of stumbled over my words. Your spirit team is here to direct you. We are here to direct the collective that choose to listen to our words as the counsel of wisdom, as the counsel of wisdom, as this medium, as this channel has suggested. So, what they're saying in this paragraph, and I want to make this clear because I remember when they were saying this, how I felt. And what they were saying is your spirit team is here to direct you. So, for example, I was sharing about how I left my religion of upbringing of my family, how I left that. My spirit team directed me in leaving that. But your spirit team may be leading you to engage in religion. I'm not here to say one way or the other. I've done sessions with people where they've asked me questions about their religious observations, and I've received very clear messages that they were where they were supposed to be, doing what they were, that was their plan at that time, was to be in that structure, serving in that way. So you're going to receive very specific information for you and your next steps. I just use that as an example. But what the Council of Wisdom is giving is collective information. So they're giving us general guidance. Whereas when you connect with your spirit team, you're receiving that personalized guidance. It's just like when I do a session for someone, yes, I'm connected to the council of wisdom, but I'm also connecting with that person's guides or loved ones on the other side. So that's what they were referring to. Your spirit team is here to direct you. We are here to direct the collective. Okay. So they go on to say, we are here to assist and to bring comfort and guidance and direction to you in this earthly form. For we understand at some level the challenges in which you face, and we wish to remind you of your higher power, of your higher experience, of your higher energies that are available to you at this time. And we thank you again for listening this day. We thank you. We send our love and appreciation to you this day. Goodbye. And with all their love and appreciation, let's also give our love and appreciation to the Council of Wisdom. I feel that right now. Like so much love and appreciation for their guidance, for their instruction, for their, higher perspectives of our experience here. Let me know what you think of the message in the comments. Share this with anybody that you think that this might be beneficial to, and have a beautiful week, and we'll see you again later on this week. Bye.